This is the very beginning of the video, and I want to let you guys know that there's going to be two path of buildings. There's going to be a path of building for my own character and the gear that he has on, and also the path of building of the whole rework and the route, the final build route that we're going to be going. So that's very important. There is two path of buildings, what my current character has, and the path of building of what the future will be, what I'm going to re-roll as. So just keep that in mind. There's two path of buildings. Welcome to 1.2 mid in-game guide, which is hitting tier 16 maps, and the progression of bosses has a +2 level on them so far. Please note that my progression is slower than others is because I have a potato PC and performance issues all the time. Especially today with the new patch notes, I was only able to log in for like an hour, and the whole entire day I was trying to log in, and it just wasn't working, so I couldn't even play today, and it's been like that the other day as well. So again, please note that I do have a potato PC and performance issue, so my build guides will be a little bit longer. But regardless of that, the mission still stays the same, going to point A to point B, and the next build guide will be 1.3, hitting the pinnacle bosses. It will pretty much be more of a gear upgrade progression, and getting more gear and hitting the pinnacle bosses. So that's basically it for that. So far, my personal experiences. So the whole entire time, I've been having no issues. I was super tanky. My minions were killing everything until I was starting to fully juice 16 tier maps, putting on max deadly modifiers, just running, just max juicing on the maps and everything. And then, Lord behold, it was like PoE1 flashbacks and just random stuff was just, um, sometimes it will one shot me, sometimes I'll barely get away and run away, and it was really annoying, and I don't know what was going on with that. Also, I had 100% mana recoup, so when I was getting damaged, it seems like my mana pool's not really moving at all. Then I started testing letting these mobs, letting one of the rare mobs, isolating the rare mob and letting him hit me and running away, and testing the savage hit, and it just wasn't working out, and I was so mad. I was so heated, and I realized there's no way out of it. I actually have to rehaul um my defenses and how this build is going to function. I went back to the same solution that always been helping me, having a triple life pool. We have an energy shield life pool, we have a mana life pool, and we have a normal life pool. So we have triple life pools. So like that's always been my go-to. I don't know why that always works for me. I guess triple life is the best life. Having energy shield, mana, and your life as your full maximum life bars. So let's discuss the final plan on exactly what I'm going to be doing. And there's no skill gems here or anything. This is all purely about the defensive gear and the passive skill tree. So our main defense is Zealot's Oath. And basically what Zealot's Oath does is that any HP regeneration and stuff like that applies to energy shield. Like, so it kind of acts like a wicked word from Path of Exile 1. And then what we did is that we grabbed all the life regeneration nodes right here. So it's very early from the mercenary tree that you can grab here. And then you come all the way down this way. And this one gives you armor, life regeneration, and made to last. So what it does, it takes 25% physical damage prevented and recoups it as life, which is pretty good. As you can see, there's jewels along the way, and it has increased maximum energy shield, mana regeneration, and increased minion damage. And minions have increased attack speed, so those are the jewels that you want to look for. And I'm also going to teach you guys how to do trading as well with the gear. This minion damage nodes are like more in game when you're like level 95 and you're putting your last 5 points into bringing order. Once you're reaching level 100, then we get Zealot's Oath. So before I continue any further down the tree, I want to let you guys know how the defenses has been changed. All the gear pieces now are armor and energy shield, which has armor also applies to elemental damage. So you'll see across the board with all the armor that it has, armor applies to elemental damage across the board. So on the helmet, the chest, the gloves, the boots, and also the shield as well. So it's something that I wanted to point out to you guys about that. And then you'll see that I'm trying to grab as much mana regeneration and life regeneration nodes. So that's going to be your biggest kicker. Mandatory stats that you're going to be looking for is life regeneration and mana generation for your character, so it can have more defenses. So reinforced barrier, what it does is that you defend with 120% of armor while not on low energy shield. So what that means is that if a boss, a pinnacle boss, or any kind of boss does some crazy random giga one-shot ability, it's going to 100%, especially if it's elemental damage. And then after that calculation goes through, then especially if it's an elemental damage, the percentage of armor also applies that elemental damage will go into effect second. I believe that's the order of the calculation that I've seen so far. Um, but also, you guys can correct me wrong, because if it's the other way around, it still doesn't matter, because it's still going to be the same reverse effect. If the armor also applies the elemental damage goes into effect first, also, that is a major big defense. So that's one of them. The second major defense I want to talk about is actually recoup damage. When the life regeneration recoup is right here on the top of the tree, it's going to give 6% right here, and for a total of 9% with glazed flesh. And the glazed flesh actually affects all three of them by 3%, which is super good because now we have a triple life pool. And Made to Last also helps with recoup life regeneration. And for the energy shield to recoup its own energy shield is these passive notables over here. Elemental damage taken recouped as energy shield. So you have 3, 6, 9, and 24% total of elemental damage is recouped as energy shield. So that's really super good, especially since energy shield is the first defensive layer. And that brings us back to Zealot's Oath again, because let's say that your energy shield and your mana pool goes down to 0. Well, here's the cool thing is that now your life bar is at risk, but what's happening at the same time? Your energy shield is constantly regenerating, and your mana pool is constantly regenerating, and the recoup life and the recoup energy shield and the recoup mana is all being affected. So for them to get to that life pool and if to kill you off and finish you off is going to be very, 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 very difficult for the mobs. This is the way I've been doing it, and I just never really been able to change to anything else. Like, oh yeah, I could do high energy shield, but here's the thing about high energy shield: eventually, it's gonna go to 0, and if you're doing like some pinnacle boss fight or anything like that, and you can't get that recharge timer to proc and go back to full, I mean, you're pretty much dead. But with this, you're constantly regenerating, and there's nothing from stopping you from being basically immortal. How I've been doing it with these triple life bars. So this build is very heavily against elemental damage. I know I could probably do more with maximizing maximum resistances to like 90. But I don't really think that's really necessary to chase since we're having all that mitigation and defenses like this anyway. And as you guys know, everything else is the minion notables over here. The Lord of Horrors is always Relentless Fallen, Gravedigger. You're going to allocate your necklace. It's hard to see, but this is actually allocated to get Restless Dead and more minion damage here. So that's basically the rest of the notables, is that you just put it all into the minion notables. So let's hop over to PoE trade so I can show you exactly why I do it the way I do. All right, so we're here in PoE trade and we're going to use a jewel for example. So right off the gate, you see two forms of stats that are basically identical. So you're going to have the normal stat filter, and then you're also going to have the weighted sum. You'll see a lot of tutorials, people talking about weighted sum. A lot of people don't really understand weighted sum. And then I've seen a lot of content creators when they do the weighted sum, and they're like, hey, man, this makes your life much more easier. Trust me, when it comes to these values, it does not make your life easier. And they don't ever do it properly or correctly. Very simple. You don't have to put any stats, you don't have to put any numbers. All you have to do is make sure you just put the right stat modifiers in this format. You have your weighted sum v2 and your normal stat filter. And then what you're going to do, because that's the jewel that we want to do, then all we're going to do is put in the value that we want. Just put like a gazillion numbers, like a 1 million altered orbs or something crazy. Um, I noticed that exalted orb equivalent is very, very good. It'll grab any kind of value. So you just want to crank it up to like a million. So once you have your values, you have your normal stats and your weighted sum copied and paste. Then you hit search. So it looks like there's only 22 jewels that exist in the market that has these modifiers, which is super good. That's great. And the lowest form is one divine orb. So if we had one divine orb, and if we just need to grab a replacement or just have it in our gear, then boom, we can actually afford it. And then if we hit the weighted sum, you'll see a little gray button that says sum and it's 30. You just click it once. And then what it does, it flips the number. So higher the sum number, more of the stats that the jewel actually has, which is super stronger. So, and as you can see, this one is way more stronger. It has max energy shield, almost perfect mana generation, almost perfect minion damage, and it has perfect increase in attack speed modifiers. And here's the flip side of doing it this way too. As you can see, there's two price values. One is valued at 8 divine orbs, and the other one is valued 25 divine orbs. So not only that doing this method actually saves you money, and not get ripped off and scammed. The weighted sum always shows you the best of the value of your money. So as you can see, this is a much easier trade option. Not only that it makes life easy and you don't have to put any value numbers here at all. All you have to do is just all you have to do is copy the modifiers from uh, and normal stats and weighted sums. And let's say that you don't have the divine orb. Let's say that you're super poor. Okay, that's great. So all you would have to do is uncheck increased mana regeneration rate, uncheck minions have increased attack speed and cast speed, and we're going to do that same. We're going to do that same for the weighted sum as well. So once we have these guys unchecked, and we're going to change this to 10 exalts because that's all we have because we're poor. And you'll see the first item with modifiers is 1 chaos, and as I said before, we're going to hit the sum number for the highest value. And the highest value right here is going to be this jewel right here. It's going to give us 17% maximum energy shield and 9% increased minion damage. So doing it exactly this way, it's going to save you time and effort and stress when it comes to trading. So yes, if you're doing your path of buildings, always make it a mirror tier, always have it all set and ready to go so you don't get lost and confuse yourself. So don't listen to the Andes that say, "Hey, you should not mirror tier your gear or mirror tier your path of buildings and stuff like that." That's the most loaded shit I have ever heard in my whole entire life. When your path of building is fully maxed out and you have a full guide to follow and items to look out for, so you're not confused and you don't forget. Because us humans, we're only human. We do forget sometimes. So it's always best to have the full list in front of you so you know it, so you're not second guessing and trying to remember every little single piece of gear that you need to get. So yeah, that makes my life. So yeah, that's the secret of my trading. So easy, so simple, and makes life easier. I hope you learned something from that. So all you have to do is copy paste it into your notepad, and then you just name it Jules. And then boom. So anytime that you need to look for the jewels that you need to, unfortunately, in the end game feature, it doesn't have anything where you can actually save your searches. But from the website, you just copy paste, you just copy the link, and then you're set. Then every time I copy this, so every time I copy paste this link, it takes me straight to the jewels. Now for the fun part. We're actually in the game and we get to talk about the mechanics of the build and how things work and all the craziness and all that stuff. So you guys know that I'm rocking a new team, but if you guys don't want to run Spectres, and you know what, to be honest with you, to just be on the safe side, don't rock Spectres because right now, you know, Grinding Gear Games, as you just saw, they did a big nerf on Spectres. So you can actually not do Spectres at all, just get rid of these guys. And you can just stick with the skeleton snipers. So I have 12 skeleton snipers at the moment. So you can still stay the original skeleton build if you want to. But for me, I'm just transforming my build into the new build as you see with the specters, because these new specters are just so awesome. They just go in and wreak havoc. I mean, these guys are super fast. They're always ahead of me, and like I don't have to worry about getting one shot of that much because they're going in first. So these guys are kind of like my frontline specters, and they do physical and lightning damage. The cool thing about having a shield is that this is something I discovered. You can actually use it as your command ability to command your skeleton. So not only that you stay safe, you can actually target your minions going forward if you need to. So that's a little cool heads up I wanted to show you guys, that you can actually command your minion army with Rage Shield while staying protected. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, you're noticing that my character is actually running super quick, and that's the first thing I want to talk about is the Ascendancy tree of our character. So my character is fully labbed, and this is the final setup. As before in the 1.1 video, I got the quality and the +2 to all level gems. For the third lab, I got advanced thaumaturgy, which helps me generate power charges, so I can have empower zombies. And the fourth and final ascendancy notable is the gem studded. What with this is super broken. It's super OP. As you just saw with the Ray Shield, I was moving really super fast with my movement speed. So what this does is that depending on how many supports gems or total gems that you have in your gem section over here on the left, dictates what kind of ability and effect that you get. And what you want to do is actually you can have all three activated. So you can have hits against you have no critical damage. All the critical chance modifier map mods and anything like that, you can actually run those because you as a player is actually immune. So this is kind of like chaos inoculation for critical damage. So hits against you have no critical damage bonuses. So yeah, they can critical strike you, but they're not going to get any extra damage on top of that. The second one, skills have 30% less cost. This was another hidden problem that I discovered when I was getting higher level, is that my skill gems were costing like 600 to 800 a piece just to be used. So that was another freak out that I had. I was like, oh my god, why is these skills so expensive? So thank God for the second one, because skills cost 30% less. So with 30% less and Ray Zombie and Unearth has efficiency, I was able to crank that down to 100 to 170 costs every time that I use it. So it helped a lot. And the third one, 40% less movement speed penalty when using skills. So that goes with Unearth too. So with Unearth, as you can see, we're moving pretty quickly, and then instead of being very slow. So if I actually take out a green, then you'll notice that we're walking hella slow now. So look how slow we're walking. This is, this is very stressful. And same with Ray Shield, as you know, we're not walking as fast anymore. So then if I put back the green jewel, we're walking hella fast again. So same with the Ray Shield. So we're moving while we're using our skills. In order to get gem studded to actually work, on the top left corner here, you'll see this whole category here. So what you want to make sure is that the strength, the dexterity, and the intelligence is all equal and the same. So I have 9 total of every attribute. So I have strength of 9 support gems. I have 9 dexterity support gems, and I have 9 intellect support gems. So yeah, we have chaos inoculation for critical strike damages. So we don't ever have to worry about being critical strike. We can run the most dangerous map modifiers with critical strike bonuses. So those are the maps that I'm trying to aim for, is the critical strike ones, because I'm immune to it. So that helps with in-game mapping. And then that goes for pinnacle bosses too. So if a pinnacle boss actually rolls that crit roll, it doesn't do anything. You don't have to worry about critical damage. We have to talk about the army size. So I have 3 of the specters, I have 2 of the skeleton archers, and then I have 1 cleric. I plan on having 2 clerics, and any extra spirit that I get goes into skeleton archers. But that is the plan, is to get more skeleton archers as I can. The reason why I have 2 of them, they have one important job role to do. So we're going to talk about the skill gems as well with the minions. Their main job role is to apply Impale. So what Impale does is that it acts like kind of like a second hit. Let's say that the skeleton archer actually did like 1,000 damage. Well, that Impale is stacked onto the enemy target, and then once another minion hits that target, it's going to use that 1,000 stack damage from Impale and do physical damage to the target. So with the skeleton archers, what they're doing is that they're always applying Impale, and my minions are just wailing on the target, and they're just nuking bosses down. So once the skeleton snipers get higher level, more damage, Impale damage just goes through the roof, and they're just doing mad damage. So that's their main job, is to add Impale. The only annoying part is that you have to swap the gems out. Um, so you put chain on, so chain ability, stretches out to all the map targets because there's so many targets. So they're able to spread Impale better. So then when you're fighting a boss, then you swap it with execute. So, something to so yeah, that's something to remember on doing. So that's the only annoying part is the skeleton snipers have rapid attacks level 2. The reason why you don't do level 3 is that it actually hinders your minion. Level 3 rapid attacks is 50% less damage being dealt. So we don't need that for the extra attack speed. 25% increase is good enough. Brutality, the max values, so they can do a lot of damage. And the most awesome broken thing for these archers is Tekrod's Revenge. So basically, it's a last gasp, but it's super OP and it's super broken. So what happens is that when the archers get jumped or killed, they don't die right away. They last actually 10 more seconds, and then on those 10 seconds they gain Soul Eater. And what Soul Eater does, if we can highlight it, if we highlight it, gain increased skill speed for 4 seconds when enemy dies in your presence, stacking up to 50 times. So if we're getting jumped, and minions are really close to the snipers, they're, getting Soul Eater, so they're going to be able to attack faster and go mayhem and go crazy. And also they get a 20% increase attack speed and spells cast speed once their health reaches 0. So yeah, this is super giga cracked for the archers, especially if they're getting jumped or some crazy elemental damage. AoE just kills all of them. They won't die right away. They'll have 10 seconds and they'll go crazy and they'll pop off. So yeah, Tekrod's Revenge is definitely a must. Impale, we just talked about that, and then you're always going to be switching from Execute and Chain as rapid attacks, brutality, corpse conservation. so you don't consume corpses, so you can get more minions. Physical mastery, just get more levels on it, and efficiency. For Ray Zombie, it has rapid attacks, Parcular charge. It gives you a 25% chance not to consume a power charge. So we're always generating power charges every 8 seconds. So as you see, I was able to not consume charges about 2 times, and I was able to create 5 zombies and stuff like that. So sometimes you'll get a chance to generate enough charges where you have a full stack of empowered zombies. So that's how I'm doing it. So you have to have this gym to in order to get a whole bunch of zombies. It helps a lot. Prolonged duration, so the zombies last longer. And same with Unearth. At higher levels, it gets way too expensive. So efficiency. Pain Offering is prolonged duration, Meat Shield, Sacrificial Offering, and Dense Macabre. And basically, with that, it just gives us 2 offerings. Each offering has its own effect, so it's basically double. It's basically double. And with the sacrificial offering, it makes the offerings more stronger. So with the cleric, it's just rapper casting, last gasp, meat shield, and minion mastery. And for the specters, these are the new Final Fantasy looking creatures. I mean, they're super epic. They do lightning and physical damage. They just go super mayhem. They go super crazy. Um, I have 3 of them, and what works best with them is lightning entombment, rapid attacks, shock, and lightning penetration. So yeah, that is it for the video. I hope this helped a lot. It was a lot of editing, and I understand why these big content creators have editors. I'm really understanding that because this took me about 8 hours to 10 hours to edit. Believe it or not, super crazy. Um, this is the new format that's making me super successful in the end game so far. Next update will be 1.3, where I'm tackling like the pinnacle bosses and the hardest content in the game, and that's what we're doing. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun with Path of Exile 2 Third Edict. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and you all have a good day.